Hello everyone, Voodoo here, and we are so back. It's like that roller coaster. We're so doomed, we're so back. And right now we're up higher because patch notes have come out, mostly tuning related, but the tuning has actually fixed some issues, and they've also done something else for Eldrazi Reaver to make it feel better. We don't have any sims in this video. They're just not going to be here yet. We don't know all the interactions and stuff like that, but lots of stuff for Havoc Demon Hunter in this week's patch notes, and Vengeance as well, actually. But we're just going to get right onto it. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We are trying to hit 15,000 subscribers by the end of the year, which is pretty doable, I think. And let's get onto it. All right, everybody, and here we are. And the fun thing here is that I can't even show you all the Demon Hunter notes on one page. So clear winner today. Now, a lot of it, of course, is tuning because Havoc was the worst spec in the game and it wasn't particularly close, but there is some fun stuff here. So again, early look here. We don't know everything that all the implications from this stuff, but we do know that some pretty good stuff here. So first things first, the Hunt and Sizzle of Spite damage increased by 8%. Good stuff. I think this is just to keep pace with things. These buttons weren't really doing a ton of damage. And with Collective Anguish basically getting its damage like lowered and then increased again because you have twice as many eye beams now. These were behind a bit. This is just a nice little buff, which is good. Buff for Vengeance as well. Nothing too crazy here. These will be doing a lot more damage than they were last patch because Enemies Necessary is removed, but they are full chaos now, so they gain extra percentage than they did before. Also up by 8%, and then a little cheating down here, up by 5% as well. So good stuff there, just tuning. The biggest thing here, in my opinion, is that Wounded Quarry has been updated. So we actually have a soul fragment increase. So they've officially put the new thing into a patch note: expose weakness in the target of your Reaver's mark, causing your physical damage to any enemy to also deal 20% to your mark target as chaos, and sometimes shatter a lesser soul fragment, which is a new text box on this talent, which is huge. We actually have a dev note as well, which is pretty new. They are mostly happy with Wounded Quarry's new effect in 11.1, but the soul generation component of its previous effect was important to the pacing of Eldrazi Reaver's gameplay and mechanics, which is true. In my last video, I talked about how horrible it felt when you didn't have these souls, because you basically were just sitting there hitting Chaos Strike and just praying that you get a soul fragment. You missed a lot of that consistent generation from the auto attacks that it gave you. Now this, I think, is a much better change. We'll finish reading this, but in order to match the overall intended gameplay, we are updating the damage effect to have a chance to generate a lesser soul fragment. So I think this is much better. So I'm imagining the soul generation should be at roughly the same amount as the old talent was, which I think is a pretty fair assumption. Again, we'll see what happens with that in future testing and stuff like that. Just too new at the time of recording this, so any like concrete numbers. But we're assuming it's around the same, which means that you will be getting like 30% more Reaver's Glaives than like current bug-free Eldrazi Reaver would have, which is great. A lot more uptime, which is just wonderful. Now on top of that, they also fixed it from scaling, like it didn't scale with some damage multipliers. Now I don't know exactly which these were. Could be Thrill of the Fight, could be Reaver's Mark, could be Inertia, could be tons of other things. We don't really know. But the damage for Wounded Quarry has jumped up a lot. Nephilium, also on YouTube, he posted a log where beforehand it was like 6% and now it's like 12% of your damage. So Wounded Quarry is very, very strong. Honestly, I might expect it to be nerfed a bit. But even if it's not at 20%, still going to be very good. So big ups here. Super happy with this. I think we're going to get some pretty good buffs, A, from it, and B, just really good general like gameplay because you're getting a lot more souls. This, I'm not sure what they were talking about here. Some things were double dipping on Thrill. Mostly I believe those are like periodic damage effects or like Soul Scar, something like that. So wouldn't worry about this too much. Then for Felskard, Demon Surge damage increased by 18%. Again, good. Still a net nerf, I believe, from where we were, but it's around the damage component. Like it's around where it was before. I think it's a little bit less, which is like fine. It is still target capped at 8, soft capped, but whatever. But this one, Flamebound bonus to Immolation or Critical Strike damage increased to 50%, which is kind of a lot. So whenever your Immolation or crits now, it'll do 50% extra damage plus all your damage from Know Your Enemy, which means you're going to have some absolute chunky rage fires. And I think this is actually a really sick change. And I'm actually pretty excited for Flame Out of Felskard. 10-yard Immolation Aura and 10-yard Rage Fire is going to be sick. It's just a talent we never played with before, and honestly the Sigil of Flame thing is kind of dumb anyway, so this will be great for AoE, and it looks like Runic Quarry Reaver stuff will be great for single target. So we actually might end up using both of our hero talent trees, which is great, and they both will have opportunities to be used in the other game mode as well, so excited for that. Down here more, Havoc. All ability damage increased by 5%. Just a flat 5% damage buff. Technically a Fellblade buff, so slap that on the card, but this is great. This will offset some of the like double dipping issues, which is good, but also is just a nice little buff for us where we were kind of the lowest target spec in the game. We will be much more competitive now with the Wounded Quarry Fellscar buffs and just with this. Blade Dance damage increased by 33%, does not affect Death Sweep. Looking like this is true right now. Sometimes they do these buffs and they do affect the other counterparts. Looking like right now, not, but we'll see. But this was made specifically to stop the no Blade Dance builds. So there were, I'll show you right now. I believe it was this one. This is the old sim for Fellsguard. Don't worry about this. The number hasn't been updated yet. But there's no Blade Dance here. You actually never pushed Blade Dance, which wasn't that big of a deal because you were in meta like 72% of the time. But there were times where you're out of meta where you just push Chaos Strike a ton. So we scroll down here to the rotation, go to a random spot here. So you literally just push Chaos Strike until the cows come home. You never didn't Chaos Strike, which is not a great way of playing and wasn't very fun. So they fixed that, which is great. So the playstyle for Fellscar will be a lot better. There might be some glaive stuff now that they've actually made it so you use Blade Dance. We'll see. And of course, it's just a nice little buff for Eldrazi as well, on top of the 5%. Blade Dance doesn't do a ton of damage, so it's not like it's going to be like a huge game changer, but it's still nice to see. Immolation Aura damage, again, increased by 12%. Great for Flamebound, great for AoE. Small and single target, we don't really care about it. But with Flamebound and this buff as well, I could see some kind of Fellsguard, janky, Ragefire, Immolation, or a single target build happening with Isolated Prey. So we'll see if that develops. 50% is a lot for that, especially when you have Isolated Prey where it crits every single time, feeding into your Ragefire, and then just Immolation Aura should do a ton of damage now. So we'll see where that goes, but it could see some like meme build there in single target, which is fun. Fix an issue that caused Demon Hide to basically a double dipped for Immolation Aura, Sigil of Flame, Hunt, Sigil of Spite, and Burning Wound. Yeah, bug fixes, sure. And then they've updated our set bonus. It is now 2% critical strike per stack. Sacrifice was 1%. There's some data mining that said it's 3%. We'll see where that number ends up, but it is better. Our tier set is still bad from like a gameplay design perspective, where you build up this like bonus to your Chaos Strike and Blade Dance, and then you enter Demon Form where we're supposed to be stronger, and you lose it for a crit buff. With this crit buff being 2%, it's a lot better. It's still not like wonderful. It's still not very like a very engaging tier set, but it should be better numerically. It was looking pretty bad, like 2% gain or some shit like that. Pardon my French. This should be better. Still not amazing, but better. So we'll see there. And finally, I will touch on Vengeance here. They just buffed everything by 20%. Great. They also undid part of the Fellsguard nerf because they did nerf it recently because they had to buff it for Havoc, even though Vengeance didn't need the buff. So Demon Surge is gaining 10% extra, I think, on top of this Vengeance buff. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll see there. So yeah, so tanks are just going to deal more damage now. They were kind of falling behind compared to damage dealers, which means that like A, it's hard to hold threat, B, it's less exciting to be a tank, and so on. But yeah, so those are the changes. Mostly Havoc focused with some stuff for the hero talents. Again, good for Eldrazi Reaver. You hit with Wounded Quarry once every second or so. So it should be pretty similar in terms of generation for souls. So I imagine we'll see similar stuff to before, but it should be some pretty good stuff here in terms of damage, in terms of playstyles being fixed. There's still some small concerns now with if we do use Sigil, holding it for Fellsguard, holding the Hunt for Fellsguard, but the fact that Blade Dance is probably used again, the buffs to the Immolation Aura stuff, I'm a lot happier here now than I was on Monday, which is pretty good. So that's gonna be the video today. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll be live tonight in like a few hours doing Reclear. We can talk about this stuff. And yeah, patch is coming out in 2 weeks. Pretty exciting. We'll see where Havoc goes. I'm a lot more excited for it now. But yeah, so like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace. A big thank you to all of my channel members. Thank you, Alexander Trifunovic, Zuligan, Fear Redefined, Indiga, Gabriel Correa, Magic Man 133, Palafadarn, Dark Terror, and Skyelt. Thank you all so much for supporting the channel. If you want to become a channel member and get some exclusive perks and just help support me in making some content, there's a link down below. Otherwise, though, I just appreciate you all so much, and thank you for watching.